If it doesn't need to be work, it just needs to feel productive. Pretty much any activity can fill that void, so you don't beat yourself over for not being productive. We have this idea that we can focus on multiple things at the same time. But in reality, that's not how focus works. What that means is that I'm gonna have limited time for other projects. Hey friend, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Dan, and this video is episode number 5 on the Office Hours series, a series where I show actionable advice for creative productivity and growth that you can implement right away. In this episode, we're gonna talk about 3 things. First, we're gonna talk about how to stay productive for a longer period of time. Then we're gonna talk about how to be productive on the weekends, and finally how to pick the best projects to work on. So make sure you stick until the end because it's gonna be worth it. And as always, feel free to leave a comment down below with your questions, with your struggles when it comes to productivity and creativity, to get a chance to have your question featured in one of the future episodes of Office Hours. And with that being said, let's get started. Let's talk about how to stay productive for longer hours. Right, so I'm gonna read a little bit of the question here. What can I do to help myself stay on a task longer? My brain just gets so tired, I stop being functional. Right, so the first thing I wanna talk about is that you gotta look at focus as a muscle. And what I mean by that is that you're naturally gonna get tired throughout the day as you use it, just like any other muscle in your body. If you go for a run, of course you're going to be sore in your legs. And when you do that shift to look at it as a muscle, you realize that it's very, very hard to have very deep focus for more than 4 hours per day. And when you embrace that new reality that 4 hours is a lot of focus in one day, it becomes a very liberating thought, because that shifts the thinking a little bit. The question is not how to stay focused for longer, but rather how do I apply the focus that I have on the things that are important. And now you start thinking of the quality of your output rather than the amount of hours that you're going to work. Of course, it would be amazing if you could work 8 hours full on focus, complete so many major tasks. It would be incredible. But for most of us, that's simply not possible. So you got to ask yourself, what is the one thing that if I do today, I'll be happy with my day? That's your number one priority for the day. For me, today was shooting this video. If I did nothing else, and I did already do some things, but if I did nothing else other than this video, I'll be happy. Good day, recorded the video. Nice, pat myself on the back, move on tomorrow. But if I did all the other things and I didn't do this video, it would be a good day because I didn't complete my priority number 1. So what is the one thing you want to do today? What is the one thing you got to do tomorrow? Think about that. Then you're going to use the time that you're most productive, the time that you were able to focus for a longer period of time, to your advantage and complete that task in that time period. This is known as your biological prime time. The time of the day where you're most alert, ability to focus, everything just in the zone. For most of the people in the world, this would be in the mornings. If that's your case, what you want to do is schedule your priority number 1, the one thing you decided was the highlight of your day for that period, and then work on your priority number 1 on that time slot. Now, why is this period mostly in the morning? This is because your muscle, your focus muscle, remember, is the most fresh in the morning. You just had a good night's sleep, and then you wake up fully rested, ready to work. If you're not a morning person, just find the time of the day that you work the best. If you want, as an exercise, just track your energy levels for 1 week and see what period feels the best for you. And when you know that, you can start blocking it in your calendar and putting the number 1 task for that period. So that is the first part, where I'm not really answering the questions, just giving an alternative take on the question. Now, if you're not able to focus for 4 hours, that's absolutely normal because we live in a world of distractions. What I like to do is sort of build my own focus gym, if you will. And what I mean by that is that I'm actively trying to do things that are gonna increase my focus lifespan. So for example, one of them is reading books. Reading books is really hard, and when you have to focus on a book for a period of time, maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, that you just focus on reading the book, words on a page really, you're gonna be building your focus muscle because you're saying to your brain, hey, focus on this one thing for the next 30 minutes. So I like to read in the morning because, again, that's a little bit of focus gym. Another thing to keep in mind is try to stop yourself when you realize you're multitasking. And I'll give you a very practical example. If you ever stared at a TV show, which should be engaging, and you reach your phone and start doing something else at the same time, and now you're not paying attention to the TV show, which should be really interesting, keep your attention, but also staring at your phone at the same time, and so dividing your attention. Now, this is a period when you're supposed to be resting. But remember the muscle, remember the gym. You're saying to your brain, it's okay to be distracted even when you are engaged in a TV show by something else. So sometimes that also happens to me. I'm watching a TV show, I'm watching something on television, grab my phone and start looking at something else. And at that moment, I try to stop myself and think, am I distracted because I want to be distracted by something else? Or am I distracted because the show I'm watching is not engaging enough? And so then when I decide, I can maybe put my phone down or change the show that I'm watching.
Okay, focus.
And this happens during the day as well, even your own thoughts in your mind. Sometimes I'm writing something and a thought comes to my head, and that distracts me from the work that I'm doing. And what I like to do in those moments is to stop myself and say, okay, I have a new thought in my mind. Let me make sure that I'm immediately capturing it so that I can externalize it from my brain, take it away, and I can get back to focus on the task. And that's why I always have this on my desk. If a new thought comes in, this was the day, I'll just simply write down what's on my mind and get back to the task at hand. And by doing this every day, little by little, you're building your focus muscle. And over time, you'll be able to focus for a longer period of time.
Training.
All right, let's now talk about productivity on weekends. Right, so here's the question. Is there any way to stop myself from being non-productive or procrastinating on the weekends? Right, so there are a couple of ways of thinking about this. The first one is that most of our work during the week is structured. You have tasks you need to complete, meetings you have to get to, things that you need to do in general. And you do this structure by yourself if you're a solopreneur, for example, or it can be something that is passed on from your boss. But you don't apply the same structure to your weekends as you apply to your week, because that feels a little bit more like work. So if you find yourself procrastinating and you don't like that feeling on the weekends, what I would recommend is try to set some kind of structure. So one of the ways that I do this is that me and Eva, the volunteer, we do some kind of exercise every Sunday, normally cycling, and we schedule 5 p.m. on a Sunday to go cycling. And so that's something we're always looking for on a Sunday, because that's going to be some nice productive time. So I don't mean to overschedule everything in your weekend. That will be a little bit insane. What I mean is schedule a couple of things that you're going to need to do anyway in your weekend. Schedule them a time in your calendar to do them.
Weekends. Good idea.
The second way I like to think about this is that weekends are a great time to recharge. And what I mean by that, you work so hard during the week, that's 5 days of work, and then you have 2 days to recharge for the 5 days ahead. So get a little bit out of your head and don't beat yourself up for not being so productive on the weekend. It's time to procrastinate from time to time. It's absolutely okay to procrastinate on a weekend. If it's really a problem and you feel so bad that you procrastinate, just try to do one big thing Saturday, one big thing Sunday. And by big, I mean your definition big. For me, going cycling on a Sunday, that's kind of a big activity. So that's one highlight to always look for. Maybe you can do something else on a Saturday, like watch a movie every Saturday, like one of the classics, or a type of movie that you've been meaning to see. If it doesn't need to be work, it just needs to feel productive. Pretty much any activity can fill that void, so you don't beat yourself over for not being productive.
Do something!
Finally, most of the people beat themselves up because they don't do household chores during the weekend, and then the new week comes around and you need to wash the dishes or wash your clothes and something like that. Now, the trick here for me is a little bit different. Instead of trying to do everything in the weekend, try to do just a little bit every single day. And here comes the idea of clearing to neutral. So clearing to neutral is this idea of leaving something clean for the next time you're going to use it. For example, every time you finish your workday, you take 1 minute to clean your desk so that the next day you come to work, the desk is already clean. When you finish your dinner, you wash your plates immediately. If you have a washing machine, that's even easier. Just grab your pots, pans, plates, put everything in it. And then on Sunday, you can put it to wash and just put them back in the cabinet. So little by little, clearing to neutral every day, you gotta make sure that during the weekend, you're not gonna have a massive undertaking of things to do. All right, let's move on to the next question, how to pick the best project to work on. So a little bit of context, I have several projects in the works designed to make me additional passive income and to improve my life. How do I pick and focus on just one? They will take months to complete, and currently I'm working a little on all of them at the moment, but it's not working. And that's exactly where I wanna start. We have this idea that we can focus on multiple things at the same time. But in reality, that's not how focus works. Focus, by definition, means one thing. The plural of the word priority, so priorities, didn't come into existence until like the 1950s or something. Before that, it was singular. It meant the one thing. And so you gotta focus on one thing at a time. Because if you're gonna be good at anything, it's gonna take a very long time. It doesn't matter what that is. It could be learning a new skill, it could be starting a YouTube channel, starting a blog, anything really. It's gonna take you a long time. So you gotta focus on one thing. For 5 years, I only focused on my blog. Now that I have a good hang of it, I became sort of a professional in blogging. Only then I can turn into a new project, which in my case is this YouTube channel. Now, if I decided to start a YouTube channel and a podcast at the same time, do you think I would have the same results? Absolutely not. Because now my focus is divided on 2 different things. You gotta have one priority at all times. And because my priority now is this, speaking to a camera, speaking to you through YouTube, what that means is that I'm gonna have limited time for other projects. So my blog is a little bit on the back burner. So one priority at all times. The second part is how to pick the best project or the right project for you. And when it comes to this, I like to use the 10,000 per hour framework to make better decisions. And that means looking at opportunities from both the standpoint of skill and leverage. And you do this by not only considering what's good for the short term, but also what's going to propel your results in the long term. In other words, what high skill, high leverage project is going to propel your results in the long term. And you might be surprised by the results of this exercise. Actually, I have a video entirely on the concept of 10K work. If you want to know more about the 10K framework, all you have to do right now, if you want, is to click here to go watch that video right now. And in that video, I cover basically everything about the 10K framework, what it is, and how I apply it to my own life. So thank you so much for watching, for your support. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.